No.
Okay. All right. So if you're looking at my screen, it says find QR to the rounded to the nearest tenth. So we're going to call this, we'll just call this X for the moment.
All
And
right.
there's three trig functions. There's sine, there's cosine, and there's tangent.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some things that they teach you, and it's so even though there's an H, it's so
Mm-hmm.
ca CAH, and then TOA. And the way this works is that sine, the O stands for the opposite. So the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. That's the O and the H.
Oh.
Cosine is the A is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. Did you see this in your lesson?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the angle we're given. Relative to this angle, is X the opposite or the adjacent?
X is the opposite.
Okay, and 37 is the hypotenuse. So out of these three, which one is the opposite and the hypotenuse?
It would be sine.
Sine. So the way this works is you write sine of 24 degrees equals the opposite X over 37.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have you do not have a calculator that has sine on it?
No.
Okay. Can you go out to the web and find one or do something like whatever calculator you normally use?
All right.
Let me know when you've got one.
Okay. I do have I did find a calculator.
Okay, so I want you to type in the sine of 24 and I want you to confirm that you got 0.4067. And if you didn't, there's maybe a reason why.
24 sine. Yeah, I get 0.4067,
Okay.
36, etc.
Well, we're just going to go to 4 decimal places.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the next step is to solve for X. To solve for X, you multiply both sides by 37.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to multiply that number you just found by 37. Right. And you should get 15 point,
0.04.
yeah, roughly there. Okay. How was that? Was that understandable?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to do this problem, this next problem together.
All right.
Okay. And what I would do if I were a student again is I would write this so katoa every time until I just knew it. Okay. So this is the angle you're given.
All right.
Is 42 opposite or adjacent?
It's adjacent.
Okay. And BR is the hypotenuse.
So
So which one uses the adjacent and the hypotenuse?
it's cosine.
So the cosine of 31 equals the adjacent 42 over X, because the hypotenuse is X. We said that right there.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and calculate cosine of 31.
I get 0.8571.
Yeah, but if you round that to 4 decimal places, what should it be?
It should be 0.86.
No, 4 decimal places. Like it's
4 decimal places. That would be 0.8572.
okay.
Roughly.
Okay. Now to solve this one's a little bit different. Do you see you have to cross multiply here?
Yeah.
So you get 0.8572x equals 42.
Mm-hmm.
And then you divide by 0.8572. Okay, so can you calculate that for me?
$48.99. So 49
Yeah, I would agree.
estimating.
Agree. Now this is really important here. I want to show you something. So remember how we had this line up here that said cosine 31 equals 42 over x?
Mhm.
And then we said, well, it's really 0.8572 equals 42 over x.
Yeah.
And then how did we actually end up calculating x? Let me copy this over. Do you see, this is kind of important here. Do you see that you can actually swap positions?
Well, that does make sense.
And it shortens your, you don't have to write all these steps. You can actually just swap
Yeah.
the positions of
Yeah.
them. Okay, so that may come up in the next problem. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so it says identify JS. That's down here, X rounded to the nearest 10th. So again, you get your angle. I need to write so Katoa.
So 44 is opposite of 67.
This is opposite. What is X?
Hypotenuse.
The hypotenuse is always the longest leg,
Oh,
longest side.
then that would be adjacent.
And do you see that the hypotenuse is across from the 90?
Yes.
So which of these three uses the opposite and the adjacent?
Tangent.
Okay, so it's tangent of 44 degrees equals, and what over what? What's the opposite and what's the adjacent?
So the opposite would be 9x. I mean, sorry, 64. I mean, 67. And then the adjacent would be x.
Okay, so let's go ahead and calculate the tangent of 44.
I get 0.9656.
Okay. And from the previous problem, do you see that you can just swap the positions of these?
Mhm.
So x equals 67 over 0.99656.
Yep.
What is that value?
$69.38.
Okay, very good. All right, so now let's see if you can do one on your own. I will tell you which trig function it uses. Okay, so this one uses, because we want to find AC, this one uses sine.
Mhm.
So try working this out on your own, please.
I get 11.7319.
Okay, so you think the answer is 11.7. I
Mhm.
don't know. I'm going to just work it out here.
All right.
So sine is 8 over x.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then sine of 43.
Oh, 0.6819.
Yeah, 0.682 equals 8 over x. So x equals 8 over 0.682. And I get 11.7 also. Good. Was that tough for you, or did you feel like that wasn't too bad at all?
It wasn't too bad once I understood the information.
Okay. So 2 more questions here. All right, go ahead and try this one on your own, please. If you aren't sure which trig function to use, let me know right away.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have your final answer?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
21.75.
Okay, good. And this last question is actually, we should have done this first. It's just calculating the trigonometric value. So just punch that in your calculator and tell me what's the correct answer.
3.73.
All right, great. Well done. Do you feel like you understood that?
Yeah.
All right, so we're moving on to the next lesson. First question here, it says to find the inverse tangent of 5. Inverse tangent of 5. So almost all calculators, they've got a sine, they've got a cosine, and they've got a tangent.
Mhm.
And then usually right near there, it's a sine inverse, a cosine inverse, and a tan inverse.
I do not see that in the calculator that I'm using.
Do you want to message me the calculator you're using?
I am using,
A link to it, maybe?
well, I'm actually using my phone calculator.
All right, so let me take a look here and see if I can help you find it. Did you rotate it 90 degrees?
Yes.
I agree. It does not have everything. So you can't use that. So you got to go out to the web. Let me see if I can find you one.
Okay.
All right, so here's one that I think will be good. I'll send it to you in the chat. Let me know when you get that up on your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I have it.
So if you go to the func main ABC and then func, do you see sine, cosine, and tangent?
Uh, let me see. Yes, I do.
All right, so you're gonna just type in. You're not type in. You just click on the tan inverse,
Hmm.
and then you type the number 5 in there.
I get 778.9. I mean 6900.
Okay. So roughly
Seven,
79 degrees.
yeah.
Okay. Let me see if there's any other questions that are that straightforward on here. Yeah, there's one more. Okay, so let's try this one.
38 degrees.
Very good. And there's one more we can do. And then we're going to move into some triangle stuff. But I like that they just give you 3 calculator problems here because there's not much effort to get the right answer. All right, there it is.
Okay, that's weird. I get something different from what they're asking.
Did you use the cosine inverse?
Yes. Oh, I found out why.
Did you use 0.76?
Yeah, I put in 0.076. Now I got it. 41.
Good. Okay, so you might think, oh, I got it. Like it's not that big a deal, but we actually have to find the. Okay, I see what's going on here. So, all right. Okay, so the question they want you to find this side across here,
Mhm.
this angle, and this angle. Okay, we're gonna focus on the angle measures, I think.
Well, we know that this is a 90-degree triangle, so
Right. So here, I'm gonna write this out so you can see how this works. Tangent of M, we don't know M, equals. Do you remember tangent is it? What is it in terms of the sides from the previous problem? Do you remember that?
opposite over adjacent.
Yeah. So it's 6.2 over 8.7. Okay.
Oh,
So to solve for M, do you see how M is inside the function?
hmm
So you have to undo tangent with arctangent. So I'll write it out one time so you can see it. But you take the arctangent or the inverse tangent of both sides.
hmm
So that undoes it. It just becomes M. So like, do you see how this just goes to M? And it's the
Yeah.
tan inverse of 6.2 over 8.7. So go back to your calculator and find the inverse, the tan inverse of 6.2 over 8.7.
It's 35.47.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So let's go to the next triangle here. And we're going to do kind of the same thing. So this time, let's do R. In relation to R, what is 18 and what is 47?
So R for 18 is opposite, and for R 47, it's adjacent. But it's
So
on the it's the hypotenuse though.
that's
So
right. So it has to be the hypotenuse. If it's the hypotenuse, it's only the hypotenuse. The
oh,
adjacent are just the legs.
okay.
So which trig function uses opposite and hypotenuse?
Sorry.
So sine of R equals 18 over 47. How do you undo sine? Just like we did in the previous problem. How do you undo tangent?
Well, you tangent
Inverse.
inverse.
So you take the sine inverse of the sine of R, and you do this on both sides of the equation. So it becomes just R. So this just becomes R,
Mhm.
sine inverse 18 over 47. Do you follow that?
Yeah.
You don't have to write this middle step, but you need to know what's happening.
Okay. 22.51.
Excellent. Okay. This one's slightly different. They don't give you angle C,
Mhm.
but you can calculate angle C because the three angles in a triangle have to add up to what?
180.
180. So this is 27. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, we haven't had to do this yet, but let's call this X. Okay. And I want you to do the sine of 63. Sine of 63. So what goes on the top? What goes on the bottom?
Okay. So it's the opposite. So that would be X, and the hypotenuse would be a square root of 8.
Very good. Okay, so if we were to solve for X, we have to multiply both sides by the square root of 8.
Mhm.
So your calculator, that thing I sent you, can do all of that in one step.
Okay.
You type in the square root of 8 times sine 63. Do you have an answer for me?
Dang it.
So let me snip in what it should look like on that calculator. And what you'll notice is that you have to hit the right arrow after you type in the square root of 8.
Oh, well,
Otherwise, the root will just keep going.
all right. All right, I get 2.5.
2.5.
Mhm.
Excellent. Okay. So that we're going to submit those. All right. So we're going to start your quiz next. We'll see if we can get through that. Or your next assignment, I guess. Only 12 questions on this one. So we'll see. Okay. So here we go. First question. Okay, it says identify cosine A as a fraction. So you got to figure out where A is. Okay, there's A. And then cosine is what over what in
Adjacent
words?
over hypotenuse.
So which is the adjacent?
The adjacent would be 13.
And the hypotenuse?
The hypotenuse would be 14.5.
Good. All right, so no more complicated than that. In that one. You're going to see a lot of repetition here in what we just did. So have that calculator out.
Mhm.
What is the sine inverse of 0.48? Sine inverse. Make sure you use that correct one there.
28.68.
So which answer would you select?
29.
Good. Not too difficult when you know how to do this.
Yeah.
All right. This is related to one we just did. I'm trying to do the ones that are more recent first. So I think that'll be better for your learning. All right. So identify PR. Call that X.
Mhm.
So you're given 26 degrees. So what is 13 and what is X relative to 26 degrees?
13 is the adjacent and X is the hypotenuse.
So which of the three trig functions should you
Cosine.
use? Cosine of 26 equals 13 over X. Go ahead and solve that for X, please.
I get 14.46.
Okay, good. All right, so the next problem we'll look at, it's actually a special right triangle. So here it is. This is 30. This is 1. This is 2. This is square root of 3.
Mhm.
So can you write cosine of 30 as a fraction for me?
Yeah.
Do you have your final answer?
Trying to figure out oops, I was doing something wrong. So for cosine, it is
Adjacent.
yes, adjacent and then adjacent over hypotenuse.
Okay.
So my adjacent is square root of 3
Okay.
over 2.
All right. Well, that's it. That's your final answer on that one. Okay, let's look for this next question here. So this is not done correctly, but this is a right angle.
Mm-hmm.
Sine of J, here's J. Sine of J is what over what?
Is
What number?
opposite over hypotenuse.
Okay, so give me those numbers.
3 over 7.8.
Perfect. All right. You see how these are kind of all related? They're all kind of interconnected with.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the next question says find QR. Here's QR rounded to the nearest tenth. So you're given this angle right here. So what is 12 and what is X relative to that angle? Like what would you call this side
X
over
is
here?
my opposite and 12 is my adjacent.
So which trig function would you use?
I would use the tangent.
Tangent of 38 equals what over what?
Of X over 12.
All right, go ahead and solve that for X, please.
Okay. I get my final answer is 9.3744.
Okay, very good. All right, so now we're gonna do something really similar. It's another tangent problem. Identify tangent of x. So we're gonna go find x, there's x, as a fraction.
Mhm.
So they're just saying like, it's what over what? What goes on the top, what goes on the bottom?
So opposite over adjacent. So opposite would be 7.2 and my adjacent would be 6.4.
Very good. Okay, so it says identify AC rounded to the nearest tenth. Here's a AC. Here's the angle you're given. What is x? What is 8 compared to that angle?
X is my hypotenuse and 8 is my opposite.
Okay, so which trig function to use?
Sine.
So sine of 43 equals what over what?
8 over x.
Okay, so go ahead and solve that for x, please.
$11.73.
Good. All right, believe it or not, we're almost done with the quiz or this next lesson, I guess. And then we're going to look at this here. So the geometric mean of two numbers, you multiply them,
Mm-hmm.
then you take the square root of them.
Oh,
So you got that calculator, so you can do that.
I get 12.
Yes, very good. All right, so let's mark that down. Okay, so next question here. This is from a couple of days ago, I think, when we did our last lesson. And if you recall, like you want to label these as you go, like DA. Okay, that's 6. MD is 4, and they want DK. Okay, so like if you put X in the top left, okay, X is a couple of things. In this case, it's the long leg of the medium triangle.
Mhm.
Okay, so what else do you have of the medium triangle?
I have a short leg.
The short leg. So that goes here, and that's 6. And then you got the small triangle. So do you have the long leg of the small triangle?
No.
Sorry, what?
Yes.
What is it?
4.
It's 4. And then do you have the short leg? Well, no, I'm
No,
sorry.
I don't.
The long leg of the small triangle is
6.
6. And then the short leg is
4.
okay. So see if you can solve that for the missing side.
It's 9.
Yes, it's 9. All right, so then really, really close here. Oh, I take that back. We didn't do this one. Sorry, let me just get where I can get this caught up here. Okay, so like I mentioned, there's 3 triangles. There's the small triangle, this one over here.
Mhm.
And we'll go like this. We'll go the small triangle. That this point up here is B, C, A.
Mhm.
The medium triangle. Okay, see how that's C, and then that's A, and that's D.
Mhm.
And then even the bigger one Okay, that's A, that's B, and that's D.
Mhm.
Okay, so now the hard part here is to compare, and they have to be in the same order. The triangles. So let me see if I can actually, I guess I'll go right here. So which of these four like is correct? So like let's just say, let's just look at the first one. A, B, D. That's A, B. Wait, that's not the right one.
That's
A,
A
B,
to,
D.
yeah, and then
Does the next one follow that? Like it has to start at the 90.
no, it doesn't.
Okay, so that one's out. What about the next one?
DAB, yes, that does. ACB, no.
Well, it does.
Oh wait, AC, I was looking at the middle triangle.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. And then D to C to A, yes.
So it's looking pretty good. All right. Last question,
All right.
and then we'll be done for the day. Okay, so once I want you, Christopher, to find angle R, So relative to angle R, what is 18 and what is 47?
R is 18 is opposite, and 47 is hypotenuse.
So which of the three trig functions makes the most sense here?
Sine.
Sine of R equals what over what?
18 over 47.
Now, do you remember how we got the variable out of this?
Yes.
Okay, so R equals sine inverse of 18 over
18 over
4.
47.
Go ahead and give me that value, please.
22.5.
Excellent. Okay, well, that does take us to the end of our lesson today. Thanks so much for scheduling, and I'll see you next time.
Okay. All right.